What is going on, guys? Hope you are well wherever you are, whatever the time, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Last time I done one of these types of videos, I went over one of my lower body sessions. Today we are going to be going over upper body, and I'm going to be giving you some tips on how to improve your upper body training. So firstly though, I want to talk about the Olympia. The Olympia weekend was last week and Samson came away with the win. I think a guy like Samson was always gonna win the Olympia with that shape. It's just about refining the look and just bringing enough conditioning. There was a few people online saying that Samson wasn't conditioned enough, or a guy who's soft can't win the Olympia, and I think that's ridiculous. You have to look at the whole package. This is bodybuilding. It is not a conditioning contest. I think all Samson had to do was just bring enough condition, and he did that. When you're 300 pounds on stage, you shouldn't really be getting beaten by somebody who's 60 pounds lighter than you. It shouldn't really happen. Which is kind of the argument with Phil and Ronnie, right? Like, obviously, two different eras. We didn't ever see them get step on stage together, but I think Ronnie would still beat Phil just because of the mass. I prefer Phil's shape, but I think Ronnie would still take him. Anyway, yeah, really glad to see that Samson got it, and obviously the Olympia is back in the UK. But yeah, upper body today. So first exercise, I started off with a single arm lat pull down, the hammer strength one, which is one of my favorite pull downs. Incredible, one of an OG machine, obviously. And a huge mistake that I see with a lot of back training with people is being too feeble and slow in that contraction, in that concentric, because they're trying to think about feel too much. And one thing that I get across to a lot of my clients is be powerful in your pull downs. Explode, recruit as many muscle fibers as you possibly can by being explosive. If you're slow and moving like this, yeah, it might feel great, but progression is going to be very hard to come by, and you're not going to be recruiting as many muscle fibers. So be more explosive. I start with that movement because it's really hard to get short, right? If I'm really fresh, if it's my first exercise, my lats aren't tired, I feel good, it's going to be easier for me to get right down to the bottom towards my hip, which is where I'm trying to get down to. All right, so that's the reason I did that first. Just 2 sets, single arm as well. And then I move on to an upper back movement, which is the chest supported T-bar row. You'll see in the video, I just show you one of my warm-up sets, which is actually done with 5 plates. And my warm-up strategy on most exercises is I'll start off with a pretty light weight. I might do like 10 to 15 reps, do a few more warm-up sets, but as I obviously increase the weight I'm using, I'll reduce the amount of reps I'm doing, and treat those warm-up sets as if you're literally going to do your working set, as if you're going to do a working set. With my top set, it was 6 plates and a 1.25. There was a little 1.25 on the end, and I think a lot of people will look at that and be like, it's an ego lift. Like, it's just an ego lift, you shouldn't be going that heavy. And you've got to realize that I'm doing that weight because my logbook has led me to do that. I've eventually got to a point where I should attempt this weight, and it felt good, it felt okay. I got 5 and a bit reps. So obviously I'll revisit that weight, but that'll get easier as the body weight continues to climb for me as well. But it felt good. I feel like my form was really good as well, and you should definitely not be afraid to attempt some heavy shit in the gym. I think don't let this whole idea of like you shouldn't be ego lifting get in your way, to be honest. So that was my upper back movement, and that was just 2 sets as well. You can actually see my back off set as well. And I moved on to a lat movement again. So I've gone lat, upper back, back to lat. This is now a horizontal pull. So I'm using a neutral grip to row, and really just thinking about pulling towards my hip, trying to target the lower lat area. That is an area that needs the most work on my physique. I definitely do a little bit more lat work as opposed to upper back work in my sessions across the week, because I think my traps, upper back, rear delts are pretty strong in comparison. So it's really just about tailoring your program to the weaknesses of your physique. Don't just copy what JP says, or don't just copy what Kuba, or don't just copy what Hunter Labrada's doing. You need to find your weaknesses and like think critically what movements are actually going to address those. I then moved on to a pullover. I actually use a straight bar with a pullover. I feel like with the rope, a lot of the time it gets quite uncomfortable with my hands. That sounds really soft, but it gets uncomfortable with my hands. I feel like grip becomes an issue. Whereas the bar will always just sit in my arms, in my hands. It won't slip away. So that's why I use the bar. Still get a great connection with it as well. And on this one, I done a rest pause. So it was just one set, but that was a rest pause set. As many reps as I can get, rest for about 15 seconds, and then with the same weight, complete as many reps as possible. I do a rest pause on this movement because it won't completely destroy me. It's not the same as doing a rest pause, for example, on a hack squat or a bent over row, right? I can get away with doing this and it doesn't really do much. Plus it saves some time. Plus it also adds a little bit of an intensifier to my workout as well. So that's why I do a rest pause on this movement. I then done some rear delt flies and also some lateral raises. I didn't film the lateral raises, but I used a lateral raise machine. And you'll also notice on this workout there's no hip hinge. I do a hip hinge on my lower body day on the other one that I didn't show you, and that includes just an RDL. And the only hip hinge on one of my sessions, I do feel like I kind of have a lingering lower back pain. Not pain, more just my lower back is just sensitive across the entire week, even from just a set of hinges. I think that's a combination of just pretty weak lower back relative to my size, and also the amount of weight that I'm using, the load that I'm using on my hinges. I think that makes a difference too. Plus, if you include like squat patterns and obviously other back work that I do, I think my back's under quite a lot of strain throughout the week. So yeah, hip hinges on my lower body day. That was the back work done, and to start off with my back work as well, because I need more back, more posterior in comparison to chest, delts, arms. Like I need more back in comparison. So that's why I start with back, right? Went on to a pec fly. That was 2 sets, pec fly. Pec fly, and big mistake you see people making on a pec fly is flexing at the elbow. So they'll do a fly, and then to finish the rep, because it gets really hard to get it short, they'll flex their elbow and bring it in here. Your chest plays no part in you flexing your elbow. That's all bicep. So to try and finish the rep like this, you've done no more chest, it's just bicep. So I'm always thinking, okay, I just need to lead with my elbows. Lead with the elbows, it'll be hard to get it short, but stay strict with yourself and make sure that you are actually using your chest. Think about what the action is of the muscle and then just do that. Chest is all about getting this part of your arm to the midline of your body. That's it. This isn't involved, this isn't involved, this isn't involved, your lower back's not involved. I just have to get this across. If I bend my arm, I'm limiting how far I can get this to the middle of my body, right? So big mistake I see people make. And then I done a chest press machine, Nautilus press, flat press, pin loaded, just one set, because I am going to be pressing again in 3 days after this session. So I didn't want to do too much pressing because that'll ruin my chest and my shoulders. And then we finished with some biceps. So yeah, it was a good session, really good session, getting stronger, body weight is climbing. I feel like I'm on a nice roll at the minute, and I think I'm still in two minds about whether or not to compete in 2025. I do think my physique has made improvements, but I feel like I can get more out of my physique, and the standard of bodybuilding is natural bodybuilding is just getting better every single year. But at the same time, I do want to compete. I do want to compete a little bit more frequently as well. So we shall see. If 2025 is when I'm going to go, I'll need to do a diet pretty soon just to see obviously what I look like, a little bit lighter, and also as well just to create a better start point for prep. I'd want to start prep around 105 kilos. At the minute, I'm like 113, 114 kilos. I'd want to start my prep lighter. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and found the tips useful. If you did, make sure to give the video a like and please subscribe to the channel. It really does help. Hope you're well, and I'll see you for the next one.